Today on Cryptic Mass Guitar, we take a look at the differences between the Epiphone Les Paul Standard 50s and the Gibson Les Paul Standard 50s. If you're wondering why the flame on this is a little wide and ridiculous, it's because it's a limited edition AAA flame maple top. I understand. I get it. When you put Epiphone in a thumbnail and another guitar brand, even if it's the one that owns Epiphone, in the same thumbnail, it really upsets some people. But I promise you here, I don't care which one you buy or which one you own, as long as you like it. And in this video, I'm literally going to do things like take the covers off the cavities here, and we're going to take a look at the tuners and all that stuff. There's not even any playing in this. That playing video is going to come out tomorrow, where there's stuff like this. I'm not going to try and tell you you need the Gibson or you need the Epiphone or one's a waste of money, one's not a waste of money. I don't care. I'm not trying to sell you on a guitar. Literally just from some people asking, what's the difference between this and this? That's why I'm making this video, not to upset you. I don't want to hug you though. So like I said, there's no playing in this video. I don't like doing that when it's a long video. It will be a long video when I'm actually going over the different specs, because most people, when they want to hear the sound differences, they just want to validate a purchase. So if I do that, then you won't care about what the differences are. So take a look. I'll leave a link in the description to the video that's going to come out tomorrow. And that'll have like 5 recorded sound samples for each guitar. That way you can hear them like in an A-B comparison. Again, in a recorded sample. So we already know the Epiphone is made in China. Has a polyurethane gloss finish. Polyurethane is a polymer. It is not a plastic. Plastic is a polymer as well. It's just a different type. Polyurethane is used as like an alternate to plastic, but just like water is a liquid and juice is a liquid, water is not a juice, if that makes any sense. The Gibson, US made, gloss nitrocellulose finish on it. That information there, that's what we'll start out with. Both guitars have slab mahogany bodies with carved maple tops on them. The Epiphone has a veneer on the front. So usually it's as thin as like a sheet of paper or whatever it's to, and they kind of put it over here and they glue it on top of the wood. That hides what the maple actually looks like underneath here, so they don't have to pay someone to sort and grade their wood. The back is also a veneer. So it's kind of hard to see, but there's actually the veneer kind of ends here. And you can see on the bottom here that it's actually 3 pieces of mahogany that were glued together before they cut out the shape of the guitar. The 2-piece maple top here on the Gibson is real maple. So it's a real maple carved cap on top here. And this is 2 pieces of mahogany glued together before they cut the guitar shape out. Also not a veneer. Both guitars are non-weight relieved. However, the Gibson is probably about a pound, pound and a half, if not 2 pounds heavier than the Epiphone. Both guitars have mahogany necks. Now, the Epiphone here is not a 1-piece mahogany neck. Well, I mean, the neck itself, yeah, 1 piece. However, there is a separate piece here for a joint to bring it into the body. And there's actually a scarf joint here to kind of attach the headstock properly. The way that it's actually attached into the body is actually via a long neck tenon. The Gibson here is a single-piece mahogany neck, and it is attached to the body via a short neck tenon. The neck pattern here on the Epiphone is supposed to be a 59 medium C. However, it is not a 59 medium C, as there'd be a little more girth here right in the center of the back of the neck. However, I can understand why they put medium C in there. It's just to kind of, because a lot of people get a little off-put by thicker necks. Whereas this one here, the Gibson, has the 50s vintage neck pattern. Closer to a chunky C than a baseball bat neck, but it is definitely thicker here than the Epiphone. The Epiphone here has a bound Laurel fretboard with pearloid inlays here. We do not have fret nibs on the edges of the frets. Some people don't like fret nibs, some people do like them. The Gibson here has a bound rosewood fretboard with acrylic inlays. We do have the fret nibs here. Again, some people like them, some people don't. I also neglected here, because I always forget in every single video, to talk about one or two different things. Even though I have everything written down, I don't know, I skip over things. But both guitars have binding on the body. Now, this just has like channels. Some people say that they're painted on. I don't believe that is the case here. It doesn't look like it's the case. But basically they put channels in here and they glue it in, and then they just, you know what I mean? They kind of, it's just an easy way to do the body binding. Whereas the Gibson, they kind of do the same thing. However, it is like this time-honored tradition. So it does that rope binding. So if you look it up, it looks really cool in the way that they do it. And it's something that it takes a little while to actually learn how to do. So it's a skill that you're actually paying more money for. But I don't know how much of a difference it makes, whether it's rope binding or not, to you. So yeah, keep that in mind. Let's take a look at the headstocks for each guitar, and I'll start out by saying the headstock angle on an Epiphone is 14 degrees, whereas the headstock angle on a Gibson is 17 degrees. So what that means here is the Epiphone will naturally have less tension. The Gibson will naturally have more tension, as it has a more aggressive by 3-degree angle for when it goes from the nut to the tuner. It also means that there is less tension on the nut for the Epiphone, so that does lend itself to tuning stability. So basically when you tune, if you're tuning down to pitch, there tends to be slack that's left around the post, and then that sort of also can get bound up in the nut. So you generally want to pull on your strings to kind of get all that stuff out. But it is less likely, because there's less tension and stress in the nut, that there's less chance that things will get bound up in the nut. The Gibson, everyone talks about the G string on a Gibson. They never talk about the G string being absolutely crazy on a Strat, but I didn't know about the G string issue for so many years, just because I was taught to tune a specific way, and that's always up to pitch, and then never down to pitch, and then tug on your strings, and then that'll get the slack out of here, and anything binding here, and then I do that like 3 times, and then I'm good to go, and you know, there's not really tuning stability issues at that point. Moving on from the headstock angle, we have the inlaid Epiphone logo here, the silkscreened Les Paul model logo here, and then the truss rod cover on the Epiphone is the Bell style 3-screw truss rod cover that says standard. We also have a Graphtec nut. For the Gibson, we have the inlaid Gibson logo, the silkscreen Les Paul model logo, and the 2-screw standard truss rod cover. It also comes with an alternate that has nothing written on there if you want to be a little more period correct. The nut that we have here is a Graphtec nut. As far as tuners, the Epiphone has the Epiphone Vintage Deluxe, yet modern sizing. So that means the holes here aren't really small, so if you want to swap that out for any other modern sizing tuner, you can do that. They are a little thinner than the Gibson, but not by much, and they hold their tune rather well. The Gibson one here has the Gibson Vintage Deluxe tuners, Clouson style. Once again, still modern sizing, so if you want to swap this out for your modern size locking tuners or Grovers or whatever, you don't have to widen the holes here because it's not vintage sizing. Pickup wise on the Epiphone, we have the Epiphone Pro Bucker 2 in the bridge, the Epiphone Pro Bucker 1 in the neck. The Gibson here has the Gibson Burstbucker 2 on the bridge and the Gibson Burstbucker 1 in the neck. All 4 of these pickups are Alnico 2 magnets. Both guitars have 2 volume and 2 tone. We are looking at period correct bell-shaped gold top hat knobs. Bell-shaped gold top hat knobs? Whatever you want to call them there. Wow. And they both actually have pointers, which is fantastic because it'll tell you exactly which number or which value of your tone and volume you are on, so you can use that as reference. Taking the covers off the rear control cavities here, the Epiphone has CTS potentiometers. You'll note if you look here, they are soldered. However, the way that they actually connect to the pickups is via a quick connect. We also have upgraded capacitors here. So it's not that generic red small little capacitor that's there. It's actually very nice. Another side note here, this Epiphone has 50s wiring to it. And on the Gibson here, we have CTS audio taper potentiometers. It looks like we kind of have a little bit of a harness here for the way that they kind of put everything together. Very much a cleaner setup here for the soldering. We also have orange drop capacitors. Everything is hand soldered here as well, but this is modern wiring. Now I understand why they use modern wiring here rather than the 50s wiring. I would prefer the 50s wiring. So for the most part, people, a lot of good, like if you look at guitar players as a whole, 95% of them do not use their volume and tone. They use the volume for volume swells, but that's about it. So with the Gibson, to kind of appeal it to a more wider, modern audience, they kept it with the modern wiring rather than the 50s wiring. Now, here's the thing. With modern wiring, the moment you start to bring down your volume, it darkens the overall tone. When you're messing around with your tone controls, it's not messing with the volume of the guitar on the overall or anything like that. With 50s wiring, sort of like the opposite. So if you start bringing down your volume, it doesn't affect your tone, so you still retain a lot of that top end. However, if you're bringing down your tone, it can actually start to bring down the volume a little bit on the guitar, and for some high gain scenarios, it can kind of clean things up, so you might have to drive the amp just a little more to get things back to normal. However, there is also this thing where I keep saying I don't think I've encountered it, but I think I have, but I don't think it affects me in that way, I guess. But in high gain scenarios, sometimes it can seem like it's sending a little bit more high end than you might want through the signal. So again, that's why I can understand why this has modern wiring. The Epiphone here has an Epiphone lock tone 2-pneumatic bridge with a stop bar. It is metric sizing. I will say that again, it is metric sizing rather than imperial sizing. The reason that I'm saying this here is unfortunately, this guitar here, I believe, is the only Epiphone lock tone bridge where I haven't encountered any buzzing yet. I haven't had it for a full week yet, but any other Epiphone lock tone 2-pneumatic bridge that I've had, I think it's just the screws here. They're not the greatest material that they've used. So what ends up happening is if you adjust any of your saddles or just not at all, it starts to buzz because the screw becomes loose a little bit. And in time, what will end up happening is you're going to be able to just push that saddle up or down just with your thumb. And again, the reason I'm saying metric is it's very inexpensive and you can do it yourself to get a new bridge. Not expensive at all. You just need to know this is an overseas guitar. You order the metric sizing. If you order the imperial sizing, it won't fit. The spacing is wrong. The Gibson here has the ABR1 bridge. That has the 2 saddles facing a different direction and then 4 saddles facing another direction. I've never encountered an issue with an ABR1 with the screws buzzing or anything like that. I'm sure it has happened in the past, but it is less likely than the material that is used in the Epiphone. So in a nutshell, that's it. That's really the big differences here. I mean, there's going to be other manufacturing differences that I just don't know of. I've tried to reach out and get information on what glue the Epiphone uses, whereas the Gibson uses Titebond. And honestly, if you use that Chat GPT thing, it just searches message boards for like guitar information. So at that point, it's literally going to tell you all the glues that Epiphone has used since like the 40s and 50s. You know what I mean? So like I searched what glue does Epiphone use, and it came back ChatGPT is telling you that it uses hot hide glue. And I'm like, does Epiphone currently use hot hide glue? Currently, Epiphone uses yellow glue. It's like, okay, they use yellow glue instead of like, I'm going to try this. Does Epiphone use Titebond glue? Epiphone uses Titebond glue. Okay. Do they use super glue? Epiphone uses... So it's just one of those things where it'll search message boards, so it's not like it's not there yet, so it's not going to tell you exactly. I believe that they use Titebond glue when it comes to gluing pieces together, gluing the top to the body, gluing the fretboard onto the neck and stuff like that. So whether or not that may, come into contact to you or like an issue to you, that I'm not quite sure. But there's one last thing I'm going to touch on, and then I'll give like some final thoughts here. And basically going to tell you it doesn't really matter which one you like or not, or which one you just buy what you want to buy and what makes you want to play. So the Epiphone here comes with cardboard. It comes in a cardboard box. I have been researching the standard 50s and standard 60s over the last couple of years for Epiphone, because I always get asked about them because I own the Gibson versions and such. And from time to time, it always says like it does not come with a case, or it comes with a gig bag, or like just giving me a whole bunch of different information. When I rented this, they had to give me a Hardshell case. They should have given me a gig bag, to be honest, but just because it didn't come with one. It came in a cardboard box. And if you rent a guitar, why would you give someone, here's a cardboard box to put this in? You know what I mean? So the Gibson comes with a Hardshell case. So here's what the interior looks like. It always smells sort of like Play-Doh and marshmallows to me. But inside the case, there's going to be some candy. And I'm going to, when I show you the candy here, I have to remind you, I'll ask you this, how much did you pay for your case that you didn't get for your Epiphone? Nothing, right? Cool. Here's what comes with the Gibson. All of these have a price point that increases the overall dollar of the guitar, whether or not you want the stuff that's in here. I'm going to tell you flat out, I probably have never opened this, like anything in here. I probably, looked at the picture and the tag and stuff like that, but I don't know that I've actually opened this bag. But I paid for everything. So it comes with a Gibson branded leather strap here. A little bit of grip. Some of them, they do change from time to time. Sometimes it says Gibson, sometimes it's just a leather strap. I've had it where there's like barely any grip on the other side of the leather strap as well. Also comes with the alternate truss rod cover, the keys to the case, the baby picture. Now apparently, like a year and a half ago, they stopped shipping guitars with the baby picture. And like some people like this. I thought it was sort of neat, but it's usually out of focus. And like, look at this. Like, it's part of it's white because they printed it weird. And on the Gibson USA side, we have the like warranty information and pre-packed checklist here to tell you what date it was actually finally assembled and made, model number, who inspected and stuff like that. This, for the USA, is generally considered the certificate of authenticity. Then we have the Gibson bag. Inside, we have warranty information, a Gibson branded polish cloth, an owner's manual. Then finally, the Gibson multi-tool, which has some tools that work for your guitar and some tools that don't, but it's good to have. And usually, honestly, this ends up in my kitchen or my bathroom. So that's everything that comes inside the case. So, again, keep in mind, how much did Epiphone force you to pay for things that you didn't want, right? That came in like a gig bag or something like that. How much would they charge you for an Epiphone branded gig bag or an Epiphone hardshell case? You have to keep those things in mind. Now, you can get some really nice budget-friendly and really high-quality budget-friendly cases, gig bags, and stuff like that for very low cost. And you know what? You're the one who picked that out. I didn't get to pick what my case said or what it looks like or anything like that. There's no shroud on the case. And I couldn't, go to the store and go like, I have like 12 of those multi-tools, if not 20 or 30. I don't want one. Can you take like $6 off the guitar? I mean, they might do that just because you asked, but like it's not likely. It just comes with the guitar. You can't ask them. I will never use that polished cloth. I don't want to pay the like $6 to $12 that's added onto the guitar. I don't know how much it is, but you know what I mean? You can't start pick and choose what comes with your guitar and start taking dollar values off your guitar. And at that point, you're a car salesman or something like that, or you know what I mean? Like you're just go to Wall Street. I don't know. But that's it for all of the differences between both of these guitars here. I'll be doing one on the Epiphone 50s versus the 60s, and then I'll do one against, I'll probably do a 59 because they keep saying that it's a 59 medium C-neck carve rather than doing one on the 58. I'll probably do one with all three, the Epiphone, the Gibson USA, and the Gibson Custom. I'll probably use the 58 for that one there. And again, keep an eye out tomorrow for that video that's coming out that actually has the recorded sound samples. So for everyone who wants to validate a purchase and just listen to it for 2 seconds and go, I bought this because of this, and I own it, I'm happy. Cool. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I didn't, ruin your day by having Epiphone and another guitar brand in the thumbnail. Thanks for watching.